Welcome to Melrose Unitarian Universalist Church. Our service today is called the Christmas Menorahs. Good morning. Good morning. I am Reverend Dr. Suzanne Intriligator. My pronouns are she and hers, and it is just delightful to be with you here this morning on a special Sunday when we will be having a special play starring our kids. Happy Hanukkah to all of those who celebrate. Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah, and so we will be singing and talking about it quite a bit in worship this morning. Speaking of that, let me ask you, what is the difference between Hanukkah and a dragon? Anybody know? One is 8 nights, and the other one, 8 nights. Woo. Thank you, Tom. All right, here's one more. What is the best hand to light the menorah with? Neither one. A candle, you silly. Okay, you can use those later on if you need to. So just a couple of announcements. This past week, our church did 3 important things as a congregation. First, as the culmination of our annual Giving Tree gift drive, Mary Beth Griscom and I went downtown to the UU Urban Ministry in Roxbury and delivered your gifts. $1,000 in gift cards to families who are survivors of domestic violence, and $700 to the general fund of the UU Urban Ministry for their good programs. Thank you so much for your generosity. It was really an honor to represent you there. Secondly, your generous pledges this week bought us a new piano. Woo! It sounds really good, and you'll be hearing a lot of it in years and years to come. We had found out recently that the old one needed some really costly repairs, and so we feel lucky to have found this new to us replacement that costs significantly less than all those repairs. So thank you to everybody for your pledges and for your support, and thank you to Tom for the beautiful music that we will enjoy for years to come. Thirdly, this week, we also updated our COVID policies. As you know, rates of COVID and flu and RSV are going up everywhere, so we are now asking that everyone wear a mask in worship. People with speaking parts today and our music director have been asked to take a COVID test so that when they speak and perform, they can take off their masks, but everyone else will be asked to keep them on. Let's do our best to keep our community healthy this winter. And now we have a quick update from the president of our board of directors, Jenny Grovius, to talk about our future and our next steps process. Come on up, Jenny.
On. Oh, there I am. Wow. Good morning. Let's try that again. I just wanted to give you all a quick update on the next steps report and the process. We received the report from Liz Coit at the beginning of December, and the board was able to read through it and discuss it at our board meeting on Thursday. So it is an excellent document, but it is quite dense, which is not a surprise. So we think that the best approach to sharing it with the congregation will be to send the full report along with a document that breaks it down into more digestible chunks. So we are meeting the first week of January to plan how to best provide you all with all of that information. And once you have had a week or two to read through it, we will begin the next phase of the process, which the board is really excited about, and should enable us each to focus on the things that interest us the most about MUUC's future. So the board is very excited about this project and all the possibilities it holds for our future. So thank you everyone that participated, and just, this has been very enlightening, and I think you will all enjoy moving forward with it. So, all right, thanks everybody. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Jenny. So you may have noticed all the decorations here. That means Christmas is coming. I want to invite all of you to one of our 2 Christmas Eve worship services this year at 5 p.m. and at 7 p.m. Both will be hybrid, so there should be enough space for you to invite a friend to come along if you like and still feel comfortable, or you can attend from at home in your living room online, whatever feels more comfortable for you. But we don't want you to miss it. We'll have carols and special music, plus a harpist. And between the 2 services, we'll have a dessert reception in Parish Hall. hosted by our worship committee. If you could please bring a dessert, let Eric know. Eric? Does everyone know who? There's Eric right there. That's great. Christmas Day is a Sunday this year. And if you'd like a worship service that day, we will have a brand new one up on our YouTube channel made by two local UU churches, Reading and Winchester. So you can enjoy that from home on Christmas Day if you like, or you can even attend a watch party in your pajamas at the Winchester Unitarian Society. More details about that will be in this week's coming newsletter. Today's service will be a little bit different from our usual ones. This year, you may know, along with our worship committee, DRE Katie and I decided to experiment more boldly with our multi-generational services. So on the Sundays, the few Sundays a year when we give our RE folks a break and we have our kids with us the whole time, we've decided to restructure our services to make more space for story and interactive, and so that it can be engaging for people of all ages. So, I have a brief outline for you now, just so you feel comfortable with the structure of today's worship. As you can see, we're in the opening sequence now, and soon we'll do those very familiar pieces, the way we open our worship services. And then you can see that instead of having a short story and a long sermon today, we will have a longer story broken up into 4 parts, spread throughout the service. We'll also have 3 short reflections from me, along with our usual joys and sorrows, offertory, and closing. It will be a lively and fun service, and I hope you all enjoy it. Special thanks today to all who are helping. First, all of our actors, thank you so much for pitching in. Our usher, Garen, our greeter, Nancy, and our coffee hosts, Stacy and Michael. Thank you so much. Oh, and especially a special thank you to Beth Yergrau, who helped me to develop and direct today's service. Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. And now it's time to see who is with us here this morning. A moment of greeting for everyone here in the room, and to say hello to the people joining us on Zoom. If you want to turn around and wave to people, hug folks, shake hands, say, good morning, welcome to church. Hi there, Zoom folks. Good morning. Have some coffee for me, please. It's so good to see you all. Instead of our usual call to worship, I offer instead today the lighting of our Advent wreath with words by the Reverend Erica Hewitt. And I would like to invite Scarlett to help me light it this morning. Every Sunday during Advent, we've woven the lighting of the wreath into our worship here at MUUC. The word Advent comes from the Latin verb advenire, which means to draw near. By lighting one more candle on our Advent wreath each week, we make visible our spirit of waiting, of expectation. The first candle we lit in the name of hope, not just what we long for, but our trust for the best within us to rise and to grace the many endings and beginnings in our lives. We lit the second candle in the name of peace, the courage to soften and to cultivate our ability to stay present in difficult moments. We lit the third candle in the name of joy, the abiding faith that joy unfolds whenever we're able to enter and consent to the practice of opening to possibility. This morning, we light the fourth candle of our Advent wreath in the name of love, as an invitation for the holy to dwell within us, deepening our capacity to love and to be watchful of love's presence among us. May we be open to the love that awaits us in the weeks to come. As we prepare to bring new possibilities to life, may love guide us and be a creative force in our lives. And now together, we light the symbol of our living faith, the flaming chalice. Here to light it and lead us in our covenant this morning is longtime member Cheryl Ringen. Cheryl.
Good morning. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit and join me in the words of our covenant, which you can see on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God.
Please remain standing if you will and join in our opening hymn, which is number 221, I believe. Light one candle. Thank you. Yes, we need to light the chalice. And then we light one candle in the opening hymn. Thank you so much. It's number 221. It'll be led by our choir and our music director, Tom. Thank you. You may be seated. Yes, don't let the light go out. Please let those lights burn bright this year and all the years to come. Our story today is about those very lights and what they represent: the fight for religious freedom, for the right of all people to worship or not to worship as they choose. More than that, it's about the inherent worth and dignity of all people everywhere, which is the first principle of Unitarian Universalism. We believe that all people everywhere have the right to live, to love, to worship freely. And in fact, that each of us is on his or her own individual path, that each must undertake their own free and responsible search for truth and meaning, as our fourth principle states. That individual search, guided by our own individual sense of wonder, is our worship theme this month. For us, religious freedom is a fundamental human right and a responsibility. And yet, that freedom is under threat everywhere. Hate crimes, violence that targets people because of their religion, ethnicity, gender identity, or sexual orientation, they are on the rise all around. According to a recent study by the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at Cal State University, hate crimes have increased in each of the last 4 years, with a 21% rise in the year 2021 alone. In the nation's 15 largest cities, hate crimes rose even more, up 39% from the year before. According to the research done by the center, the most common hate crimes in the US occur against African Americans, and those rates increased 16% last year. But there was also a huge spike in crimes targeting Asian Americans, a 59% rise in anti-Jewish crimes, and a 51% rise in attacks against LGBTQ people. Even here, in our local community, there have been attacks reported against a Jewish family and a Muslim family just in the past few months. How do we respond faithfully? How can we as a religious community stand up for our values, stand up for our neighbors, stand up to those who would harass or intimidate or harm us or our loved ones and friends? Today's story is a true story. It happened in Billings, Montana in 1993, and ever since then, towns large and small have looked to this story for inspiration. Let us do the same. And let's begin the story with Beth, our narrator.
Our story is based on the book, A Christmas Menorah, How a Small Town Fought Hate by Janice Cohn. It was a cold December night in Billings, Montana. Christmas lights twinkle on many houses and from a few homes. Hanukkah menorahs shone into the darkness. It was the third night of Hanukkah. At Isaac Schnitzer's house, there was a menorah in almost every window. Isaac was in the den, working on a math homework assignment. Suddenly, there was a loud crash.
What happened?
Isaac was startled.
Are you okay?
You okay, Isaac? Excuse me, are you talking to the mic?
I'm Elliot. I think the noise came from my bedroom.
When they went down to Isaac's room and they went over to Isaac's bedroom, opened the door to Isaac's room, they felt the rush of icy air. Isaac flipped on the light and they saw what had happened. The big front window was shattered. The electric menorah that had been on the windowsill was lying on the carpet. Pieces of glass covered the floor, and on Isaac's bed was a big rock. We'll do that again.
My goodness, someone threw a rock through your window.
Isaac rushed to the window and looked outside. The street was quiet. Whoever had thrown the rock was gone.
Who did it? Why would somebody do this?
We should call the police right away.
Isaac's sister was the first to see Chief Inman as he came up the walk, and she ran to greet him. Her mother followed close behind.
Thank you for coming so quickly.
It's a shame what happened to you here. We'll try our best to protect you. But with the holidays here, it might be safer for you to take down your decorations. Jewish families seem to be a special target, especially families with menorahs in their windows.
I guess that's their idea of getting in the holiday spirit.
Throwing rocks through a Jewish kid's bedroom? It's a twisted way of celebrating.
Wait, somebody threw a rock through my window because I'm Jewish?
I think that's why some went through that rock. There's a small group of people in Billings who have been causing a lot of trouble. First, they send out leaflets saying hateful things about Jews and some other groups who live there. Then they spray painted threats and insults on a Native American home and tried to frighten African Americans in their church. Last week, they damaged the synagogue. Now they're throwing rocks at menorahs. But I can tell you this, we're going to do everything we can to stop them.
The people who threw the rock at my window probably don't even know us. So why would they do it?
Just because we're Jewish, they don't know anything about the kind of people that we are, and still they chose to hate us.
It's the same with other families in town they're trying to frighten. They don't know them either, but they don't like their color or their religion or some of their beliefs.
But why?
I wish I knew. Haters and bullies have been around for as long as anyone can remember.
Isaac was quiet for a few moments.
Let's put our menorahs away. Maybe they won't bother us again.
His mom put her arm around him.
I know how you feel. It's frightening. But celebrating Hanukkah is part of being Jewish. It's what we believe in. We're not about to let some bullies keep us from celebrating our holiday.
Wow, thank you, actors. You have me in suspense. What will happen next? Now it's time to have a pause in our story so that we can take time, as we do every week in our worship service, for quiet contemplation and sharing. In this, our centering time, we will start with our centering song. Then we'll have 2 minutes of shared silence. Then, as we do every week, I will invite you to share your sorrows and your joys as you feel comfortable. Our centering song for December is Dark of Winter, number 55 in your gray hymnal, and we'll have the lyrics up here on the screen. Please remain seated and join in as you like, allowing the song to gently lead you into our time of quiet contemplation.
Thank you.
At this dark time of the year, some of us might be feeling down or maybe a little lonely. At this busy time of year, some of us might be feeling stressed or worried. Church is a place where we can bring our whole selves, all our feelings and thoughts, and we learn here to hold ourselves and one another gently, with kindness and compassion. Each week, we take time to share with one another our personal milestones, the joys and sorrows of our lives. First, I invite anyone here who has a sorrow to share to please come forward, speak into the mic, say your name so that all can see and hear you. I invite our Zoom audience, if they like, to share a sorrow in the chat box. Go ahead and type it in, and I will read them together in a moment. Florence, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Florence. I just wanted to light a candle for my... Hi, I'm Florence, and I just wanted to light a candle for my pop, who just got out of the hospital, as well as for a childhood friend, Tara, who lost her husband to pancreatic cancer 6 months ago and was just diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer herself. So keeping her in my prayers.
Florence mentioned her father and her friend Tara.
My grandfather.
Your grandfather, thank you. We will keep him in our thoughts and prayers. Anne.
Hi, Ann Easterbrooks. I'm here as a member of our church anti-racism committee. And as Reverend Suzanne mentioned, a person in our community and her family, City Councilor Maya Jamaluddin experienced a recent incident of anti-Muslim hate. And we've written a letter as part of our committee, but we also have a card today, and I'll be at a table at coffee hour. We would love for members of our community to sign the card, and we will send that to her.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Griscom. I'm just remembering the Ukrainians today and in this season. My grandparents came here in 1905 from Kyiv, and the war is not over. And they are entering an extreme period of cold and darkness, without heat, without light, without power. We just need to keep pushing forward and recognizing the injustice and just the horror of what's going on there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth, for reminding us about the people of Ukraine. Heather.
I have a sorrow for my best friend because her aunt died.
Henry, was that her friend's aunt? Yes. Her friend's aunt died. Thank you. And now I'm looking from our Zoom audience. We don't have any sorrows. Any other sorrows in the room? Okay, Garen, if you would please go ahead and light a candle. Let us take a moment to hold all the sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, in our hearts. May we each honor them in our own way, reaching out to help people in need with kindness and care. Let us pray together for healing and for hope. And now I ask for all the joys that you would like to share. If people would like to come forward, speak at the microphone. People on Zoom can go ahead and type them into the chat box if they have a joy to share today. Zura has a joy.
Our grandmother is coming tomorrow at 7:30.
Grandma's coming to visit. Hooray. Thank you, Zura.
Hi, I'm Jane Foley. I have a few joys. One, I finally was able to visit. My mom is now settled in long-term care, and 3 of us went up and saw her, and she's comfortable and looking much better than she did, and I think she'll be okay there. And my niece announced that she's expecting her second child, and pretty much fully recovered from gallbladder surgery.
Thank you, Jane. Many joys. Lucy, good to see you.
Hi, I'm Sarah. This is Willa. And Willa is feeling joyful about the first night of Hanukkah tonight.
Feeling joyful about the first night of Hanukkah. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sarah. And thank you, Willa. Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey Mann, and this is a candle of joy for the fact that I'm starting a new position as a paraprofessional at the Stoneham Middle School, and I want to thank very much Mary Beth Griscom and Amy Morrison, who both gave endorsements of my candidacy, and I'm very grateful.
Congratulations, Corey. Let us look in the Zoom room for joys. From Gretchen. Joy for my husband, Paul, who retired on Friday after 35 years of service with the State Department of Environmental Protection. Thank you, Paul, for your service. And from Brian COVID Johnson to everyone. Candle ode joy, he says. Synexit House is available. The men's retreat is on. Thank you, Brian. So let us take a moment and pause and hold all these joys that have been shared in our hearts. Thank you for sharing these joys. They connect us to one another, and they remind us of the beauty of living, and they remind us to be grateful for all the many joys in our lives. Garen, if you would please go ahead and light that candle to represent all the joys, spoken and unspoken, this morning. Thank you, Garen. And now it's time to resume our story part 2. Let's do it.
We are going to be going to Isaac's classroom, and I see his teacher is arriving right in a moment. The next day at school, Isaac's class talked about what had happened to Isaac and his family. Isaac's teacher, Mrs. Pearson, brought in a menorah and told the class about Hanukkah. So here is our menorah.
Long ago, in the 2nd century BC, Israel was ruled by King Antiochus of Syria. He decreed that the Jews could no longer practice their religious traditions. This greatly angered them. So a small group of freedom fighters called the Maccabees fought a 3-year war against the Syrians. Though they were greatly outnumbered, the Maccabees fought heroically and were finally victorious. After the war, according to legend, the Maccabees went to reclaim the temple in Jerusalem and prepare it for worship. When they tried to light the sacred lamp at the temple's altar, they found only one small jar of oil, just enough to provide light for a single night. But miraculously, the oil kept the lamp burning for 8 nights. And that's why the menorah has 9 candles. There is one for each night with an extra candle to light the others. Every year, Jews celebrate Hanukkah by lighting menorahs and remembering the victory of the Maccabees against religious intolerance.
Some bullies threw a rock through the window where I had my menorah just because I'm Jewish.
That was a hard thing to have happen to you and your family. We're all very sorry and very angry. As I explained, Hanukkah celebrates the fight for religious freedom. The truth is, people have to fight this battle over and over again. We're doing it now in this town. Because when people stand up to bullies, especially when they stand up together, lots of times the bullies back down. And something else happens too. The people who are being picked on learn that they're not alone. They learn that other people care.
That night, one of Isaac's classmates, a little girl named Teresa Hanley, went home to her family. She told them what had happened to Isaac. She went to the family encyclopedia and looked up the entry for Hanukkah, and she showed them a picture of the menorah.
Let's draw our own menorahs and put them in our front windows.
But what if people think we're Jewish?
So what if they do?
We could get a rock thrown through our window, or maybe something worse.
We would be taking a risk, but some risks are worth it. People shouldn't be treated this way. What if this happened to us? Wouldn't we want people to help?
Count me in.
Teresa's family made a big, beautiful menorah and hung it in their front window.
Just this past November 1st, in nearby Stoneham, a Jewish family awoke to find hateful messages, including paper swastikas with the family's names on them, strewn across their front lawn. A member of the family wrote on Facebook that day, "Words cannot express how it felt waking up and finding this on my front stairs." That week, along with members of our own congregation, that Stoneham family came to the Shabbat service here at the synagogue in Melrose. Addressing the incident that evening, Rabbi Jessica Lowenthal quoted the famous saying from Rabbi Hillel, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, who am I? If not now, when?" Both rabbis are, of course, right. We all must protect the whole community just as faithfully as we protect ourselves. Truly, we are all in the same boat. Our community is only as safe as its most vulnerable members. The time to care, the time to act, is always now. Just 11 days ago, on December 7th, City Councilor Maya Jamaluddin was sitting in her car with her children at a Melrose gas station while her husband pumped air into their tires. Many of us here know Maya. Anne mentioned her in the sorrows this morning. I worked with Maya on the Melrose Human Rights Commission. She wears a hijab, and she is our first Muslim city councilor in Melrose. At the gas station, a woman in another car opened her window and yelled, "Go back to your country." When Maya's husband responded to her, the woman got out of her car and shoved him several times. Police are now investigating the incident, and several local groups are calling it a hate crime. Our church's anti-racism team has drafted a letter in support of Maya, and you can sign a card to her and her family in coffee hour today, right after the service. "We stand strong together," said Rabbi Jessica in her Shabbat service. "Proud of all the identities that make up who we are. We join with others, supporting each other in times of trouble and concern, standing tall and demanding equality and respect. And we do that work now, not waiting for another incident to drive us back, but building our wide coalition of loved ones now and making those relationships last." The rabbi went on, "There are more people in our world, in our country, who stand with us. Stand with all who have experienced and continue to experience hatred and pain. We come together to drown out the others. We are proud of our complex identities. We stand together, never backing down." Unquote. And so may it be. Time for our story, part 3.
A few days later, a special town meeting was called by Chief Inman and a woman named Margaret McDonald. She was a friend of the Schnitzers and had worked with many of the churches in Billings on special projects. The day of the meeting was cold and blustery, but a big crowd filled the hall. Isaac and his parents were there too.
People of Billings, the police are doing everything we can to catch these people, but it's important that we take a stand as a community. We have to show that an act of hate against even one person in our town is an act of hate against us all.
The Schnitzers have been urged to take down their menorahs so they won't be a target. But that's not the answer. What if the rest of us were told to take down our Christmas tree and lights because people might throw rocks at us for being Christians? I say, let's take a stand. Let's all put up menorahs. What do you think? Will you do it? Will you hang a menorah in your window?
How many of you support this? If you do, you can cheer and clap. Good job, Mrs. McDonald. The next day, the town newspaper published the story with a picture of a big menorah. The idea was that the people could cut it out, color it, and hang it up in their windows. And here is where we need you to participate as well. If you choose to, the children in this show will be coming around and handing out pictures of the menorah. So please raise your hand if you would like to receive a menorah to put in your window and to color. And we actually really ask you to take this home and put it in the window of where you live. This is to show your support for the family in this story and to support this effort in general. And yes, there are markers in the pews for coloring it in if you choose. And it looks like this.
This church is a self-supporting organization funded by your generous annual pledge. You may also contribute to our weekly collection plate, which we split every month with a deserving cause. Folks on Zoom can donate either way using the orange button at the top right corner of our homepage at melroseuu.org. For the month of December, our giving partner is UU Mass Action, a coalition of individuals and congregations across our state that work together towards social justice goals. And this month, half of our plate collection will go to UU Mass Action. Our anthem this morning is the Advent carol, O Come, Emmanuel, in an arrangement by the musician John Bainke.
Emmanuel.
Part 4. It was getting dark as Isaac and his mother began to drive slowly through the neighborhood.
Look, Mom, all the menorahs.
Several houses on each street had pictures of menorahs in their front window. There wasn't a single street in town without the Hanukkah picture. If you would hold up yours to see all the different houses with the picture of the menorah showing support.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. But Mom, did anybody else have rocks thrown through their windows?
Yes, they did. But do you know what happened? After the newspaper printed the menorah, more and more people put them up, and the rock throwing just stopped. There are so many menorahs, thousands of menorahs.
Just ahead was a house with a big picture window. Taped onto the window was a large picture of a beautiful menorah shown with many brightly colored crayons. Over the menorah was a message in gold glitter. For our friend Isaac, it read, with love from Teresa and the rest of the Hanley family. Underneath was a picture of a Jewish star and a Christian cross.
She didn't tell me she was doing this. She never said anything.
Isaac's mom turned towards him, and she had tears in her eyes.
You know, honey, hate can make a lot of noise, but love and courage are usually quieter. But in the end, they're the strongest.
The next day was gray and gloomy, but in the evening, a warm, inviting light shone from Isaac's bedroom. Isaac's menorah was perched on the sill. Each branch was brightly lit, and it shone on the sign, which had been strung across the length of the window. The sign said, Happy Hanukkah to everyone in Billings. With love, Isaac. This is the end of our true story, and thank you so much for everyone that participated. And remember, take your pictures home and put them in your windows if you choose.
We began our worship this morning by observing the Christian tradition of the Advent wreath. We lit the fourth candle in the name of love as an invitation to the holy to dwell within us, deepening our capacity to love and to be watchful of love's presence among us. Tonight, many of us will also light the lights of Hanukkah, which represent a hard-won religious freedom that is the human right of all people everywhere. And that is also a light of love, the love of a people for their God, a miraculous and enduring love at the heart of all humanity, a yearning for ultimate meaning and union and connection. This holiday season, let all of us light the light of love in ourselves and in our community. Let us pray. May the light of love burn away despair and illusion and misunderstanding. May the lights ignite warmth and hope and truth. May they give us the faith of the ancients, the strength of our forebears, the courage to stand for our values, for our loved ones, for our neighbors. May the light of love burn within us and among us, not for one night, not for 8 nights, but whenever and wherever humans need one another, which is always and everywhere. In the name of love, we pray for peace for all humanity. Amen. Please rise as you are willing and able to join in our closing hymn, Our World is One World, number 134 in the gray hymnal. Thank you. Please remain standing and join with me in the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. Our service is ended. Friends on Zoom can stay in the main room to chat. Folks here can enjoy a postlude and then gather in Parish Hall for some refreshments. And I invite you, there's the chance to sign a card to City Councilor Maya Jamaluddin. Thank you so much for taking the time to worship with us, and we'll see you on Christmas Eve.